used to be a control freak. Now I just like show up.
I
So
love that. Well, Gabriel Shahin, I am so excited, literally so excited to have you back sitting in front of me and talking to me about all things marketing. We could geek out about this topic forever. You and I worked together almost 5 years ago, and
crazy.
I'm so proud to be part of your journey, your growth journey that's like all over the papers now, which I love. So, if you don't mind walking us back through time 5 years ago when we first started and the growth you've had since then, I'm just so proud to be part of that process.
Yeah, I mean, you're part of our story, our internal journey, because you kind of said, "Hey, Gabriel, like people don't relate to brands, they relate to people." That's why Nike has all these athletes, because people, consumers relate to people. So it's funny, like you got me so out of my comfort zone to like put my guards down. I don't like sharing kind of personal stories or pictures of my family and things like that. But you're like, listen, you're a likable person. It's not like we're trying to hide an evil person. Like, have people know the person. If they know you, they maybe like you. If they like you, maybe they start trusting you. If they trust you, it's like, hey, like just share your story. So it's funny, like it was you. And I remember being like, not combative, but like fighting tooth and nail to not share my story. And you knew all along, you kind of rolled your eyes, probably like, hey, trust me, tell your story, just don't withhold anything, and just show who you are, and like good things will happen. And like, and we've continued that now in the 5 year period. And probably since we spoke, I don't know, we're probably in 5 years, 7 to 8x the size firm. Then we're conservatively 8x the size firm from when we first met. So it's kind of cool.
That's amazing. If you don't mind me jumping into how did that happen? We built your brand. So first of all, for people who are like, what does the brand have to do with anything? We built your brand, we built your social media foundation. How did all of those kind of propel you to, the next stage into your marketing process?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. Like, you don't really think about like a brand strategy, especially maybe at the size that we were. We had a lot of leads that were coming in. We had a lot of prospects that were reaching out, but we really didn't identify like a face to Falcon. And I was always like, always, that was a big deal for me. That's why my title was not president CEO, it was just principal, right? So it was maybe more me, maybe that more humble side of me. But then it was like, listen, we get it. You're humble. That's what makes you likable. That's what makes you authentic. That's what makes you all of these like buzzwords that are great. But like you have to actually just make yourself as an authoritative figure, a thought leader. Think bigger. I know you're focused so much on day-to-day operation. At that time when we were meeting, I was still doing meetings. I still had a client base. So now like just the firm that was probably, I don't know, 20 people at the time is now almost 100 people. And so we've just continued to evolve as a firm. And so having a brand strategy is just important because it identifies what your goals are, who you're trying to reach, and most importantly, how to communicate it.
I love that. For advisors who are just stagnant, maybe they've got a website here or there, maybe they have a marketing calendar. What would you recommend to them as like the first stage to just really propel that growth, especially as we're thinking about going into the new year?
Yeah, I mean, I would say probably the first thing is like identify like who you are and who your niche is. Like, I think that's important because you can always build off that, right? Like, I use an example of Mercer Wealth or Mercer Management, whatever. They have like $70 billion in AUM. But like, that was a firm that specialized in dentists. People who've been in this industry for a while don't know, like, they know that. Like, we're talking 15, 16 years ago, that's who they were. That was just the dentist firm. And now they're this behemoth that has probably 50,000 clients, I would assume. So it's just find your niche, find something you're good at, find something that you could say you're an expert in, and then extrapolate off that. Because at the end of the day, personal finance is more personal than finance. And you can actually take a niche and apply it through the mass affluent. So I think find your niche is important. I think that's the first thing. And then, of course, then you have to layer of actually caring and wanting to actually focus on an investment in marketing, a marketing initiative, and actually having just a clear partner. I mean, quite frankly, I don't think we would be here today. Not just saying this because I'm on the podcast here, but I did need almost like that, a very sweet slap in the face to say, listen, you got to get out of your shell.
I love that. I love hearing that because I look at myself as like a fiduciary for our clients. Like, no, this is to your best interest. I know it doesn't taste good, but this is going to be something that's needed. But you're also spending a lot more than than most advisors do. Can you share a little bit about your budget towards marketing? And I ask that because I feel like a lot of firms, spend maybe three, five, maybe, 10K on their marketing, and they're like, where are the leads? We're not doubling in size. I'm curious to hear where you are in that ballpark.
Yeah, I mean, so it's funny when we first met, we were doing 10 to 15% of whatever our gross is. So if we met at the time, let's just say we were doing $1 million of revenue, we'd be spending anywhere between 100,000 to 150,000. Well, now we're doing about the same, 10 to 15% of revenue. So you put that in $20 million, yeah, we are in fact spending between that $2 to $3 million a year. So it's something that is just has to be done. And what people don't understand about this, and this is what's crucial, and this is why most people don't do this, is because you have to think like that's just the direct cost. Well, now we have 3,000 leads coming in a month. I need like a team to support that. I have a business development team of 10 people, an advisory team of over 20 people. I have a planning department that has to handle all these assessments that we give for free. Like the indirect cost is over another $3 million. So to keep it simple, Amy, the math is very simple. 2 million direct, 3 million indirect, that's $5 million. So essentially, if I just pocketed that $5 million, which is what a lot of firms do, by the way, like, which I get it. But like, here's the thing. If you don't have a good process, if you don't have a good growth strategy, then I'm either like the dumbest human in the world because if I have $5 million that I could be putting in my pocket over 20 years, that's $100 million I could be putting in my pocket. You do that at a 10% rate of return, that's almost a $350 million that I'm missing out on. If we're not building a $1 billion enterprise value firm, I'm either dumb as hell or a terrible manager and CEO, or I completely don't understand the economics of my business. So you have to know what you're doing if you're going to build something great.
Absolutely. But I think a lot of firms are thinking, yeah, I would spend, double what Gabriel is spending if I just knew what was the formula. And I think that's like the catch 22. It's like it's not going to be a guaranteed formula. Kind of like if you come to someone for investment management, say, I will put all my money into this if I knew it would double in size. So what would you say, is your risk factor or risk tolerance when you're investing in marketing? How do you know it's going to work? Or do you really don't care? I remember your tagline being fail forward. That I actually share that with all my clients. I'm like, you need to fail forward. And they're like, no, I don't want to fail at all. I have a reputation to maintain. So
Uh,
what would you say about that? Like the mistakes, the costs, not just on what you spend on, but how much is going to actual results versus failure.
Yeah, so it's kind of interesting because we normally like at the minimum if we spend $1,000, we want to get $1,000 of annualized revenue as a client. So to put that into context, if I spend $10,000 a year, I want to get a client that can generate at least an annual revenue of $10,000. So that's $1 million for every 10,000 spent. That's like the math. Like the math has to math, right? So that's, I guess, step one. But then you start going into like other channels and certain verticals of digital marketing, and you start looking at Google or Meta or whatever the case may be. And then you start like, wow, we spent $1 for $3 of revenue. So then the question people ask is, to your point, Amy, is like, okay, if you were doing that, truly spending $1 for three, because people are like, why don't you do M&A? Well, I don't want to spend $3 for $1 of revenue, right? So for that, it's like, okay, well then why aren't you spending millions? It's like, well, we are spending millions actually. And so with Google and so on. So I think it is important to understand. And here's another thing, like Google will tell you, the market tells you, like, if they like you. So you have to be quick to move. And you're probably remember that, Amy, fail forward. Be quick to make a decision and be quick to pivot from that decision if necessary. So, like for us, it's super important to get into a situation where if it's not working here, or if it's not working now, well, then let's pivot to see if something does work. So we have 41 offices now nationwide. And so we've accidentally like opened up the Boston office. Why? Because all of a sudden, just something about our Google algorithm, something about the content, something maybe the way I look or how I trim my beard or the curls in my hair, whatever you want to say, something in Boston just blew up. And so we have a Boston operation. So we continue to see where the leads are coming from. Obviously, you pay for the leads, and there's SEO, organic, and so on. But yeah, it seems to be working out really well.
Yeah. And I think when people think about marketing, maybe some of them don't really understand where these costs are. So we're thinking about when you're thinking about your marketing costs, are you factoring in the people involved to your marketing team? Are you thinking about the actual organic marketing? So for those who are not familiar, organic marketing is when you're posting your about your life on social media. It's about when you're writing those blogs on your newsletter. But then inorganic, which is where you're spending a lot of your money, that's the ads, that's the Meta ads, that's the Google ads, that's hopefully maybe other channels that maybe sponsorships and things like that. So can you share with us the allocation around those people, organic and then inorganic allocation of that 1 million, let's say, you're spending?
Yeah, so kind of come so the let's just say the $2 to $3 million a year that we spend in direct marketing, that's just like we're we're writing checks to Google
Oh,
essentially
wow.
or to
Okay.
whatever. So that's just directly there. The 3 million plus is
Yeah.
for that indirect, for the staff, the people, the hours, the business development team that have to call somebody 14 times. We had 3,000 leads, right? So what is that math? Like 5,000 phone calls to set 500 appointments or whatever that math ends up being. So so that's what over three, it's actually like $3.4 million is what that cost is. And then I think we're probably at like 2.5 to 2.7 is what we may be spending in marketing this year. So yeah, like that's what I'm saying. The combination is over 5 million, well over 5 million. And so now with that, like to your point, we have now 8, maybe 9 people in our marketing team. Like we
Yeah.
have our
So
own cinematographer, we have marketing people, we have social people, we have graphic designers, we have content people, we have Google people. So we have like all these people in-house now. And here's the crazy thing with all of that, it still takes probably 1 to 2 full days a week of my time to focus on the PR requests, to making content. We've gotten clients from the LinkedIn, from the YouTube, from Instagram, from TikTok. We've gotten clients on all of those. But the part is building content because think about this. We're at every angle of marketing possible. We're doing blogs. We're doing podcasts that we transcribe. We're doing interviews like this. We're now you Google our name, you'll see that we wrote in Barron's, Wall Street Journal, all these places. And so much so where we're now doing not SEO, search engine optimization, but AEO,
yes.
answer engine optimization. We've officially gotten clients from
Oh,
ChatGPT,
absolutely.
multiple, and from Grok. It's just wild.
I am all about AI. It has changed my life. It is the future, in my opinion. So you're basically a full service marketing agency. That's amazing, and you're literally competing with the likes of a Merrill, a JP Morgan's marketing budget. I mean, that's huge. Not to mention the amount of time you're spending. And I think it's really important for other firms to see. There's like really need to spend to play in the marketing world. And like you said, you can't just do one social media post here and there. You kind of really need to amplify it if you want to build on that. So that's personally what I do for my own marketing. People see me all over the place. It's because I built the website, the foundation's there. Now I just add to it, but you have to do that work. I work on the weekends writing that content. I have people working on my SEO all the time. So it's a full-time endeavor if you really want to get results from marketing. What about people who don't want to spend on marketing? I mean, are there any other avenues? Is it referrals that they could amplify? Is it going to more events? Talk about those, or do you kind of stick more with digital marketing?
Yeah, so that's low-hanging fruit. So we're
Yeah.
actually really good at that. And so that's still between 15 to 20% of our growth of our new client base comes from referrals. Because remember, we're still like a value shop, a tax planning firm. So that is still very, very big for us. So I would say just stick with your core competency and just be the absolute best at what that is. And I think that's something at our firm that if we show them that we're competent, so competent at a certain thing, and you're getting like-minded clients as referrals, I think that's the key. But no, we are asking for it at every meeting. We have client referral events that we do often. Then we have client only events. Sorry, not welcome. You can bring your friend at the referral event, but this one's just for the clients. So we're very strategic in how we do that, and it's been very successful.
Are you doing anything with COI?
No, I don't know how to. I mean, that's like nobody's perfect, right? I'm far
Yeah.
from. But man, I suck at getting business from COIs. So I got to be better at that. There's some firms that are make crushing it, larger than ours, that just do so well with it. Here's the thing, Amy. I would say like, who are they? Like, you've known me even before I was whoever I am today, assuming I'm a different person than when you first met me. Like I was always like a bigger personality, not shy of the camera. I just didn't want attention. I liked recognition, if that makes any sense. And so, but like if somebody's really good on a camera, you probably want to maybe get on social media and maybe promote your posts. They have to be good on camera, right? Not saying I am. I'm just saying like you have to have something that you can offer. What do somebody want to hear what you have to say? Now, let's say you don't, and
Right.
that's fine. Not that obviously they want to hear what you have to say, but like let's just say that's not something you're comfortable with. Well, then you start looking at other mechanisms where you could just say, "Hey, come in for a free consultation," and you could kind of see what that looks like during on Meta. Go in and give them $100 a day. That's $3,000, and see what happens. If it doesn't work, it's not like it sucks. Look at how much money Meta makes. So maybe you change the color of that ad. Maybe you try a different region. And so I would say it's trial and error. We had to slay a lot of dragons before getting to the princess. And what I mean by that is you have to sometimes hire an outside party to help get you on the right track. So, and if you like what they have to say, especially if you start seeing results, then it's money well spent.
Talk to us about the sales team as well. What's the difference, in your opinion, about having really good marketing, but also having really good sales? Because sometimes I feel like a lot of firms give up on marketing. They're like, this doesn't work. I don't want to be on video. I don't want to write blogs. I don't want to do anything. I think we need a good salesperson to be our ambassador and go into the world and, kind of drum up business. And some of the things I tell them is you're going to be paying a hefty salary. And then eventually you're going to be like, you know what, you're not getting any results. So here, can you do some servicing? And then eventually their workload is filled up. But I'm curious what your thoughts are on hiring a salesperson if you don't want to do marketing.
So you're asking the question of like, what came first, the chicken or the egg? So let's just answer the question, Amy. The chicken came first. A salesperson, a captivating salesperson is, in my opinion, what you should get. You've seen successful people over at New York Life or Prudential or Northwestern that like not a great firm, like they're an insurance shop, and they're super successful. Why? Because they're amazing. So there's two things here, right? There's like the firm capability, and then there's the advisor capability. And it would be great to have two top notch. That's what we try to strive here at Falcon, is two amazing firm and amazing advisors. But sometimes there's companies like, insurance shops that they're not a good firm, but they have amazing salespeople and they crush it. So the conversation then is like, okay, well, should I spend in marketing or should I spend in these salespeople? Well, my whole point is like, yeah, you have to spend money in marketing to bring in leads. So I get it. But if you had a top-notch salesperson, these guys are winners. They're going to find a way to win. And in a situation like that, they'll find a way to drum up business. So for me, I would rather get a phenomenal salesperson, because then the one or two leads that you may currently be getting a month or referrals, these people will be able to close the business, brings in revenue, take a piece of that revenue and go spend it on some marketing if that's a new initiative. But for me, start with the chicken. The world started with the chicken first. There it is. I solved it. Hire the salesperson.
Right, right. And that's the big question. Do you want a salesperson with a background in investments? Do they like what you have to provide? And hopefully the CEO is the salesperson. And that's where I see like you are the firm's best brand ambassador. And if you are great at selling, then you could kind of sell without a website. Like some of the biggest wealth management firms managing billions don't even have a website. It's a very big conundrum, and that's something a strategist could help with. How are you thinking about going into 2026? What's on your marketing plan for 2026?
I would say, like for us, we've always been a very process heavy firm. I mean, if there is like a secret to a sauce that we have, it's just the amount of automation that comes through and the amount of just touches that we do. So it's really just making sure we're giving the best possible client experience ever. That's always been our focus. But now we're looking at how can we give the prospect the best possible prospect experience ever. And so we're doing a lot of touches. We're having a easy, just trying to make it as easy as possible for them to want to work with us and for them to see as much, give as much of a free sample as possible. Remember, you have to believe in what you're selling, right? So it's easy to be a salesperson at Mercedes. So if the best free sample as possible so they can see what they're about to get involved with. And that's just been the best thing for us is focusing a lot for 2026 is how could we consistently enhance it and how many touches, how much automation can we do in this? And so to be able to just make it feel like it's world-class experience. And then you have that balance of, man, these people are annoying, right? So you want to make sure there's a fine balance of making sure you give world-class service through automation, through technology, through AI, to make sure that we're really just making them the best ambassador for us, which is why a 2026 initiative for us that started this year, but we're going full blown next year, is a client ambassador. Or after somebody gets a financial plan, we're actually reaching out to them and asking for client referrals. Right there, they're excited. They got their plan. They saw the money they're saved. They've obviously are working with us. Now we're going to have a strong engagement to
Right.
just ask for more business, an additional touch from their non-advisor.
I have never seen anyone take the prospect and look at them and their client experience. You know, a lot of people say, I want to have the Ritz-Carlton experience for my clients, but I've never heard anyone think about it as like the prospect journey.
One thing that we did since we last spoke was, I created, what is it right here, the book of how the rich get richer. And so the idea with that book is like, let's just give that to every lead. So I spoke to a legend named Bill Backratt, legend in our industry, and he's like, "Hey, you're doing everything right. And what I would do just is write a book and give it to all your prospects." I was like, "Okay, that's great." So I wrote the book from December of 23 to July of 24, and then I started looking for an editor because I'm not a professional book writer, and so I get like sold. Right now, everybody's selling you,
Yeah.
and they're like, "Hey, you should get a publishing company, partner with us. We're huge." Well, Forbes had a very strong sales team and they're Forbes. Like, what a massive name, right? So I was like, all right. So they sold me, and they're like, you're thinking so small minded, Gabriel. Exactly what a CEO with a tough personality wants to hear. And then they're like, you're thinking about just giving it to your prospects. Have you ever thought of just blowing up this book, trying to make it so good it's an Amazon bestseller? And you have random people reading it. You're helping not your thousands a month, but you're helping tens of thousands a year of efforts that are away from Falcon that, oh, by the way, the book's in their hand. They might even want to do business with you. So then I heard that. I'm like, you know what? Let's do it. Man, that I now understand why Rick Edelman did a bazillion books. I
Wow.
understand why other advisors do it. We've gotten celebrity clients north of 8 figures
Oh my
from
Lord.
this book. Like it's crazy. And like I'm the celebrity when I go into that Zoom meeting saying hi to them. It's like the most craziest thing in the world. And so it's just consistently finding new and new ways to enhance the prospect experience. When you write a signed copy saying, I look forward to helping you in your financial situation, we look forward to helping you, and you mail them a book, they get this. Who doesn't like a package in the mail? And so, like, it's just the experience is everything for us.
So
Yeah.
what does a day for Gabe Falcon, Gabe at Falcon look like? Like, I mean, with all these things that you're doing.
Yeah, I'm a high energy person, if you can't tell already.
You don't drink coffee, right? Or you
Yeah,
do?
I don't drink coffee.
I remember that. Why is it that everyone who has all this energy doesn't drink coffee? I don't get it.
Because I would probably be bouncing off the walls more than I already am. That's the one, and I've had coffee before. Like
Yeah.
sometimes we go to like we have like these cultural events with like I go to my family's house. They're very traditional, and they'll give us like this Turkish coffee, and it's like rude if you don't have it. I'll drink it. I'm like I literally will probably fall asleep at 4:30 in the morning, and so I'm just bouncing off the walls. It's like worse than crack, I'm sure. So it's just right now my job it really consists of three core things. I think the first one is to engage all the team members, to
Okay.
let them know I'm here, I'm present, and I'm available. Number two is to have them understand the goals of what the organization is. And I think probably the biggest thing is just making sure that I continue to motivate everybody and they understand what our common mission is. And I think that has really become what my job is versus having like a large client base. It took a while for me to realize, like, literally talking to one of my colleagues, Michael, which you know, in the middle of talking to him, I said, "You're my biggest client." I just kind of said it, right? Just like, and he kind of looked at me and go, "You're going to have 150 clients eventually one day, and you're going to be my biggest client if I think of it that way." And once I changed my mentality for that, that's where we really started growing, because I started thinking more as a CEO, working on the business versus in the business. So the things I'm doing, I'm setting up these strategic partnerships. We've got some really big things in the pipeline right now, and some of it's going to be industry news. And so a lot of it is not an M&A thing, but these are like really big deals that are going to help probably grow us to just levels that we can't. And now that we're like, fairly credible, I think it's fair to say people are now listening when we reach out to them. So that's been my role, is how can I make it my job, or excuse me, the job of my advisors easier from my efforts. So that's what I've been focusing my time on, which is just a lot of time, a lot of work.
Well, I just think your energy is exhilarating. I talk to you, I'm like energy. I'm like, I'm going to go hit the metas of the world, So what is it what motivates you? What are you motivated by? And how could others learn that level of excitement from you?
Anybody who's known me, I went to a few years ago to my 20-year high school reunion, and some of them follow me and kind of figured out kind of what I'm doing. And they're like, "We always knew you were going to do something. You were always just high energy. You were always just a competitor." I played a lot of sports. And so I kind of came to this conclusion in the past couple of years. It's just like, sometimes winners just win. And so, like, shoot or shoot, right? Like, eventually, just like, that's how it is. And so, like, for me, it's not so much of like, what's your goal? To me, it's like, well, the goal is to help every family in America, and we're going to use help vaguely. And so I don't feel there's a certain size or a certain end goal. I'm sure if you ask Ken Fisher what the goal was, there is no, like, I need to get to 100 billion. That's really not in my mentality right now. Probably same thing for Peter Maluk and some of these other industry titans. Like, there is no goal, but my motivation just comes from, because I know we have something great to offer. And the offering is value add through tax planning and giving the world-class experience. And I think we can have that in everybody's hand. And in my brain, if I was one of these mega firms as client and they met with us, would they leave that meeting saying, "I need to hire these guys"? And I met with the top firms at Morgan Stanley, at Goldman Sachs. I met with their advisors, the ones that manage billions of dollars of just one client. And I got to see their pitches through some clients that hired me to help interview these people to make sure they don't get taken advantage of. And I'm like, they're not that special at all. They're not special at all. So now I have the confidence to say, if a multi-billionaire is sitting across the table from me, like, there is nothing, they don't work with us, it's because of me or connection that wasn't there. So it's just building out a process, a system, a communication method where we can scale this in mass, where I don't care if it's an 18-year-old TikToker making $7 million a year, or Betty White, God rest her soul, that just wants somebody to help in their financial situation. So, like, for me, it's let's help as many people as we can. And that's my focus. My motivation comes from, just like I was saying, winners win, shooters shoot. And for me, that's who I am. It's in my personality. I just want to be the best version of myself. I don't want to be the best. Like, what is the best? I want to be the best version of myself. And for me, I get excited. I love what I do. If I won the lottery, the $1 billion lotto, I will show up to work the very next day. I already lost the tie. Like, I don't even need the tie anymore. I'm cool. Exactly. I like dressing like this. Sorry if you think I'm a square, but like, I enjoy everything that I do, and hopefully that is shown.
It is absolutely shown. And I think another term that I'm going to remember from you, besides fail forward, is they're not that special. And I think that's really important. And I know it sounds crazy, but I hear this from a lot of advisors, because, as you know, we do fractional CMO, but also one-on-one coaching. And when we do that one-on-one coaching, a lot of them are like, "But look at that firm, Fisher, they're so much better," or "Look at this other firm." Or they think they're good, but there's no way they're going to be able to catch up to a Gabriel, right? So what I think it's really important to have a picture, actually, of your biggest competitor and look at him and be like, is he really that much better? better than me, or someone at Morgan or Edward Jones or wherever, they're getting all these prospects and clients. If they're not that much better, or there's the level of difference isn't that high, then it's just about you putting yourself out there and motivating yourself.
And mess with your mind. Like, make it easy for you to do. For example, if you have a picture, let's say Ken Fisher is who you want to go for, or Gabriel Shahin, have a picture of them talking, in the middle of them talking, freeze frame it where they look like idiots so it looks easier. So I'll make it easy for anybody watching this. This is mine. So like use that, put that on Falcon. They're not that special. Gabriel just looked like an idiot in that freeze frame, and just make it easier for you to be like, dude, I can beat this guy. I can beat Ken Fisher. I like Ken Fisher. I like all the megas that are out there. Our industry is this big compared to the Merrills and Morgans of the world and Goldman Sachs's. But the idea is get your mind right. If you're already going into a fight saying I'm going to lose, right? You at least have a swinger's chance to win, but don't go in there and just cuddle up and get beat up. Go in there, and here's the thing. There's some people that are in professional fighting who like the fight. For me, not saying I'm a combative individual, not saying I'm a confrontational individual, but boy, oh boy, do I like competition. And for me, I embrace it. I love this industry. I love the competition. It helps elevate us. So let's use it as not a crutch, but let's use it as something that can help elevate all of our game.
I love that. And that's exactly how I feel about this industry that I'm so passionate about. And I've been in 20 years now, and people like you who motivate me to keep getting our firm even better and wanting to provide more and provide solutions and partnerships like with your firm. So thank you so much, Gabe. It was amazing to see you. And if anyone needs to reach out to Gabe for more insight, I'll make sure I'll tag his information below. Thank you, Gabe.
You're awesome, Amy. Absolute pleasure. Thanks for having me.